right, what up? It's Ruben from TG, and in today's video, I want to share with you the ultimate zero DT option trading strategy that we use inside our Telegram group to capture 60% on QQQ and even 108% on QQQ. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you the results here. This is within the group today. We captured QQQ. I like the QQQ trade right here. This was good. It was looking really good. So we called it out 532, 0 DTE. The stop, I wasn't sure yet because it was 0 DTE. So we sized down, so that's really important. Always remember to size them properly according to expiration day. And we also jumped into Oklo. Okay. We sold Oklo at 40%. QQQ was at 50%. I told everybody take your money. Sold half of the QQQ puts here at 60%, and then it hit 90%, and then I sold everything at 108%. And actually, it went even further down, but we didn't capture that because I want to show you the strategy to stay mechanic. Okay, you're going to stay very mechanic. It's very easy. We go from target to target. That's it. Okay, and I'm going to show you exactly how we did that today. Okay, let me pop open Getron real quick for you guys. And then we're going to take a look at QQQ. All right. This is Gextron. This is the tool that we use to find our key levels. Because before you go into any trade, you have to know what your key levels are. Okay. If you know what your key levels are, then you know where to enter, where to exit, like what are those support and resistance levels. And then you also want to figure out, well, what are your price targets? You could use the key levels as your price target, or we do something better that Gextron actually shows us, which is called our expected move. So when we open up this little list, you'll see all the expirations available for QQQ, and Gextron tells you how much this can move based on implied volatility. So that's really, really cool, right? Because everything is forward looking. Like when you go into a trade, by default, you're like, okay, I'm going into a trade because the future price is going to be here, whether it's lower or higher. But if you could use implied volatility to figure out that price value, that's even better, right? And so that's what Gextron does. All right. So let's, all in all I did was just look for the tall bars and I mapped them out here onto the chart. Let's take a look at the chart real quick here. It looks a little bit, this is Aqua. It looks a little bit crazy here with all the lines here, but I'll break it down for you. It's really, really simple. Okay, so the first thing that we did, right, when I called this trade out, I said, okay, 533 and 532 are an area of interest at the time. Now, the data is going to be a little bit different on Gextron as of right now because it's 4 o'clock already. The market's closed. And also, this Gextron is updating throughout the day. So when every time option orders are coming in, Gextron is updating as well too. So it's never lagging. It's always up to the current data. It's always up to date. Okay. And so all I did here is notice, I'm going to replay this back a little bit because we got in around, let me see when I called this out. This was around 11:30. So it was around this area, this time zone right here, around this time frame, literally like 11:30 on the dot. And so what I noticed was that we were ranging between this 533 and 533 and 532 area. And it struggled for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, even 5 hours here, okay? It was struggling to get above this key level that Gextron was telling us for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, right, so a little bit like over an hour and a half. And so this was a good confluence for me to say, okay, if we get below 532, then we're going to start entering a negative bearish area on QQQ. Okay, so I like that, and I know it's negative because of these like purple colors. Okay, and so once we entered that zone, once I was like, okay, we're struggling to get into the positive area, the green bars. If it gets below 530, that's good. The other thing that we're looking at here is really important is how as it's attempting to go up, volume is dying. So this tells me as a trader that buyers are getting exhausted. That's it, right? Now, one thing that I didn't like in this trade was that we were hovering over this VWAP. We were hovering around the VWAP, which is this yellow line right here. Okay, so we were hovering, rejected. I like that. And then it went, where's 1130? 1130 was this candlestick right here. When we got in, I said, okay, great. We're getting under VWAP. Let's get in now, right? We're going to take our chance for 532 and go lower. Okay, but it actually went up, and I was watching price. And notice here, let's see if we can get the, whoops. Let's see if we can get the extended hours here. Okay, where is it? Right here. As price, let me remove this. Let's just go back to regular trading hours. Okay, notice how as price is going up here, same thing that I mentioned earlier, as it's going up, volume is still low, right? But every time we touch this area, there was a high level of volume, some sort of level of volume of rejection here. Okay, notice that. So that's why I always say volume is really important to analyze. Always analyze it when the trade is going on. Okay, you always want to make sure that it's supporting the thesis. And so what this was telling me is that 533 was a key level that Gextron gave us, and it was accurate. Like there were sellers there. So it allowed me to hold. I think the biggest drawdown on the trade was about 40%. Now, because the size was so small, I wasn't really worried about that. We were down 40%. It was a very small position, but it had the capability of becoming a 2x return. Okay. Okay. So that's that, right? The next thing that we did is as price was then starting to come down here, I like the 30-minute time frame here. As it was starting to get rejected here, I noticed also a spike in volume. Okay. And I like that. That was a good confirmation that we're breaking out of this exhaustion, out of this weakness of upward movement on QQQ. And as we're coming down, we're picking volume back up. This was good. And you can see here, as price continues to fall down, volume was still somewhat high. It kind of found some sort of support around the zone, and now it's rejecting again. Okay. Now, that was the entry, right? What I just discussed there was how to enter a trade on a 0 DTE. What are the components? But now the next thing is like, how do you get stopped, right? So in my case, my stopping point was if like in the 30-minute time frame, we can close above this 533. If we could, then that was my stopping zone. Like that was it. Game over, right? But it rejected multiple times. It did go over, but it didn't make it. It didn't close above it. Okay, so that was my stop. Now exits. How do I figure out exits? How did we get up to that max of 108% return, right? Let's take a look at these wins. 60% return, right? We got 108% return. Wonderful. Okay, how did we get to that? Well, that's where expected move comes into play, right? This is where Gextron comes in and says like, hey, like here is the daily expected move for the expiration. Okay, and so at the time, let me put my face back in here. At the time, the expected move for QQQ when I took this trade was this line right here that says DEM, okay? 530.95. That was the target, and that was it. When we sold, or at least I told everybody to sell somewhere around here, and then I said sell it the rest around here, and that was it. That was the trade. Can we have gotten more? Yes, but it could have also reversed on us. Okay, and so what's important to know about when you're trading 0 DTE is that when you hit your price target, you sell. And for me, this was the daily expected bottom during that time. And that was it. That was my ideal price target. Anything extra, of course, would have been just like the cherry on top. But that was the trade. That is how we got this 108% max return on QQQ 0 DTE. So what's really important is, again, knowing key levels, support and resistance levels based on the option premium. Okay, so we use Gextron for that. And what's also important is knowing the expected move, so you know what are the best price targets. Okay, something that is realistic and that can be hit by that specific expiration date. Okay, every time Gextron gives me all the expiration dates, it's it's telling me everything that's possible to hit, either the top or the bottom range, by that specific expiration right here, which you'll see it on the corner. Is date, EM at the right side, how many days till expiration. Okay, that's the beautiful part about Gextron. Okay, so that's that trade. That was how we traded that. It took a little bit of patience, but it was like about an hour worth of patience, and it paid off clearly. Now let's look at Oklo. Oklo was similar. Okay, Oklo was a similar trade, which we hit 40% return. Now, this wasn't a big size. This was just like 3 contracts because I wasn't sure based on where it was in this area. Let's see if we can pull that up. Oklo, where's Oklo here? Let's look it up. Trying to make this video not too long. All right, let's see. Show my face. There we go. Okay, at the time, I believe this was in these green areas. Okay, so 64. Let's see yeah, it's like 65, 64. So I wasn't too sure. And 62, 63, 62 is when we start entering these negative bars, these negative areas, these bearish zones. And so same concept. This is why we took a small trade, but I like the risk to reward from where we were. Like if it does get to a negative area, we may be able to hit 62. And that was it. That was literally it. When it hit under 65, I said, okay, let's take a chance here on Oklo for puts. We were long initially because of how much bullishness there was, but clearly it flopped. So that's okay. All we did was just go into a bearish state. And we took our opportunity around here and we sold pretty much around 63, close to 62 area, which you can see, okay, Gextron is very good. Anytime you see the tallest negative bar in Gextron, that is and if price is coming towards it, that is the strongest level of support as of right now until the data changes. And if vice versa, if price was going up, the tallest positive bars, which they're all tall bars, but the tallest positive bar is the strongest level of support. Okay, so that's the important thing. So when we were trading this, I was like, okay, we're gonna sell at 40% because we're reaching a strong level of support, which is 62 right there. You can see that here, and we're reaching 62, and we're going to sell into strength, and that's it. Like game over. We won. This was a good trade. Let's move on. And so that was the trade for this, and this is how this became a day trade. Very simple. When you're day trading, you want to keep it simple. You want to keep it, just like anything complex, the concepts, but when you're doing it, you want to keep it as simple as possible so you can think clearly. All right. If you want to trade with me and my team, I'll put a link in the description box for you to come. And yeah, that's it. See you on the next one.